Any kingdom divided against itself shall not stand. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kal Halayim Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Harachak Wadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and are worthy of their double honors. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, pushing out this truth across the four corners during these last seconds of time. Kwam Yasha, mighty, mighty Shalom. And this lesson is entitled, Any Kingdom Divided Against Itself Shall Not Stand. Lord willing, this message be edifying. And this is coming off of breaking news. As this article reads from CBS News, gunmen killed after opening fire on Secret Service checkpoint outside White House, officials say. And it says here's what we know about the shooting near the White House. A gunman was killed after opening fire on a U.S. Secret Service checkpoint outside the White House Saturday evening, which was today, a few hours ago. An agency spokesperson told CBS News Secret Service officers returned fire, hitting the suspect, who later died at a hospital. A bystander was also wounded, but no Secret Service agents were injured. And the scriptures tell us this. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. The word woe means destruction, all right? And we're seeing these different judgments come upon the planet Earth, all right? And specifically here in America, where there's going to be uprisings, all right, seditions, okay? Any kingdom divided against itself shall not stand. Verse 15, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? Civil war, the Lord said in the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, he's going to set Egyptian versus Egyptian. That's talking about Americans versus Americans, all right? The word civil means citizen, all right? Civil war is looming for this place. And this guy just opened fire on a Secret Service checkpoint, all right? And ultimately, what is that going to lead to, all right? Civil wars, all right? Invasions in these different cities, all right? Mass T attacks, Black Swan events, okay? That's what's looming for this place. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse, all right? Any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. It says, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And this is an example of that. All right, this guy here says a gunman was killed after opening fire on a U.S. Secret Service checkpoint outside the White House Saturday evening. An agency spokesperson told CBS News Secret Service officers returned fire, hitting the suspect, who later died at a hospital. A bystander was also wounded, but no Secret Service agents were injured. So he was targeting, allegedly, Secret Service members, all right, or other government officials that he possibly could have reached, all right? And this is a form of sedition. It says President Trump was at the White House during the incident, but was not impacted, the Secret Service spokesperson said, all right? So this could have likely been an attack on the president, man, all right? This is an example of sedition. And I have here, all right, can sedition be acts of violence? It says, yes, sedition can involve acts of violence, as it legally refers to overt conduct, including the use of force or physical conflict intended to overthrow or disrupt the authority of the government. And this was an example of that today, all right? An attempt to overthrow or disrupt the authority of the government, all right? Because he fired at the Secret Service checkpoint, but you had the president that was inside the White House at the time, man, okay? So this is sedition. This is all biblical prophecy. While sedition historically covers inciting speech or organizing discontent, acts of violence become central when it crosses the line into seditious conspiracy or active rebellion. In the United States, under 18 U.S.C. 2384, seditious conspiracy specifically includes using force to oppose the authority of the government, right? And he used force, all right? He used a firearm, okay, to fire at the Secret Service checkpoint. That's what you call force. It says conspiring to overthrow or destroy the government by force, which is an example of what happened today. using force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any U.S. law. It says seizing or possessing federal property by force, all right, and so on and so on. So let's read a little bit more in it. It says, understanding these definitions requires distinguishing between related concepts. Sedition is the act of inciting revolt, which can manifest as speech, organizing, or physically challenging lawful authority. It says seditious conspiracy, a specific federal crime where two or more people agree to use violent means against the government or its laws. It says insurrection, the actual physical acts of violence and open rebellion carried out to achieve those seditious goals. All right, which that was a form of insurrection too, man. All right, it was a physical act of violence. Okay, him firing and shooting at a Secret Service checkpoint, man. All right. And this is all rooted in prophecy. 2 Ezra 15-16 again, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And he took matters into his own hands, man. All right. It says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. Right. Because the cities are going to be trouble, man. There's going to be civil wars that are going to be breaking out. All right. The scripture said kingdom divided against itself will not stand. This is Matthew 12:25, and I get it in the blue letter because I want to get that verse in the NLT. This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, and it reads, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Verse 26, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And I'm going to read it in the NLT. It says, Yahushua knew their thoughts and replied, any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. A town or family splintered by feuding will fall apart. Right? Any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. So there's going to be a war between different classes of people against the government. All right, government officials. All right, we just read how the course of their actions shall stand in their power. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. All right, they're not going to regard these governors. All right, the president, these officials, and this instance today that happened this evening, a shooting at the White House. All right, it was an example of that, man. All right, how civil war is going to break out, but it's all rooted in biblical prophecy, man. All right. This is rooted in biblical prophecy. We're reading it here in Matthew 12:25. Yahushua knew their thoughts and replied, any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. A town or family splintered by feuding will fall apart. And if Satan is casting out Satan, he is divided and fighting against himself, this system. All right. It says his own kingdom will not survive. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a breakdown in every aspect of America's strongholds, the government, political aspects, so-called religious aspects, all right, military, all right. There's a division amongst all those things, man, all right. And what is that going to lead to? An all-out collapse, chaos, all right. Jacob's trouble, man. That's the scene that we're going into, all right. So Lord willing, this quick here was edifying. I'm going to give infinite honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harachak Wadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings until next time. Kwam Yashala, Mighty Shalom.